Into the ropes and off. A flying tackle by and a drop kick.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Got to hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm a real heavyweight champion.
Gotta be the best of me. More to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold championship. As existed in its current progress.
That canvas pretty hard, and look at Buddy go to work now. Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Welcome back. Another episode of TEW 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. We are rounding off round one today for our Crockett Cup tournament, and that makes me very excited. That means because in round two, you guys are going to be picking in the official Durger Time Discord who wins the quarterfinals. So this is kind of setting up the battleground for you guys to bicker and fight for about a week. I'm going to be really excited to see how that shapes up. Going to be pretty cool to see how, I guess, maybe if there are battle lines, if there are tit-for-tat agreements, because we have in the tournament here, we have, you know, there's some interesting elements that could happen in the play. But I think most of the interesting elements actually are going to happen depending on what happens in the quarterfinals, because our semis are going to be really interesting, and I think the finals will be really interesting. But the winners of Legion of Rot, a Chikara team with Hollow Wicked, versus Contra unit, are going to move on to face FTR. Warhausen versus Classic Connection, the winner of that is going to face Private Party. We already know that the Lucha Bros are going to be facing Two Guys, One Tag, and the Rock and Roll Express are going to be facing the winners of the African American Wolves versus Violence is Forever. So there's kind of some interesting elements there. Definitely there's some that feel like they're more likely than others, but, you know, the Lucha Bros, Two Guys, One Tag, who knows where that goes. I know there's at least one person that's really behind Silas Young that might be really interested in trying to get that to happen. And obviously Lucha Bros are a huge team in terms of fan base and skill set. The winner of this tournament, again, is going to get a NWA contract, and they certainly would do well to boost up our stats and prestige, even though, personally, I don't know if the Lucha Bros really fit with the NWA feel to me. But that's fine. I mean, I've booked bullshit before, so what would be new here, right? But we also have FTR having defeated former NWA tag team members of the Dawson Brothers. FDR definitely feel like they fit in the NWA and also would provide that prestige, if a little bit of a kind of boring get, if I have to say so myself. But definitely are probably favorites to win the tournament. Private Party, deep in there though, kind of getting a groundswell of support lately in the last year, put off some great numbers, and would be a great get as well. Legion of Rot or Contra unit also kind of interesting. Legion of Rot probably doesn't fit with the NWA style that much, but, you know, Hollow Wicked, great get, and Contra unit actually fantastic, kind of underappreciated tag team. And of course you have the Classic Connection technically already has the stepping stone of being a tag team in championship wrestling from Hollywood. And I guess some people want Warhausen. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, that seems like a popular... So there's a lot of interesting elements that could happen here. And obviously, African American Wolves isn't really a real tag team anymore, but because ACH had retired before this, but would be a good get in terms of skill set, as long as we can manage his mood. And Violence is Forever is obviously an MLW tag team. That could be an interesting, like, upper mid-card tag team for us. So all of these have some interesting potential for the NWA. Be kind of curious to see where you guys go in terms of who gets picked. I'm probably just going to bury Warhausen in the beginning of this show and just make sure that never happens. So, you know, probably expect Classic Connection to win the whole tournament, I'd say. But anyways, we got to go book this show. Let's go ahead and move forward. Nothing on the back end today. I think we're pretty much okay. let's boost forward and get another episode of Power under our belts. Got a decision here. I don't know for what. Oh, pay raise, Zicky Dice. We're only paying you 30 per appearance. Sure, I'm just gonna give him the full amount. Why not? He had a job at Tim Storm. I think that deserves a pay raise. Oh, God. Are you serious? Okay, how long are you going to be out? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Where's your medical? Where's your medical? You son... You know, it felt too good. It felt like everything was going right for a while. Okay. Okay, good. It's only a day. It's being worked through. Jesus. I was so scared there that we would have to have a sub. I don't even have a sub, like a plan for an extra team. I would have to like wing that last minute and try to figure out where it would be. Oh, that scared the hell out of me. Ugh. Okay, that's fine. One day, he'll be fine. Steiner had a loan for AEW, and okay. Oh man, I had a heart attack. All right, I need to take a sip of my coffee. I'm freaking out here because I really thought we were about to throw a wrench in the works in this entire tournament. Night of the show, Fatu. Thank God. I am so scared. All right, Fatu's fine. We don't have to do a sub. I don't know who I would even pick if I needed a sub. So we should be fine to continue with the tournament. Maybe avoid punches to the face, I guess. Oh, Paul Heyman won an award. Best manager in the world. Good for him. And Chikara's still around doing a show. Man, at 47. They're putting in work. How did they get Ophidian in it? How did they get a 62 in that match? Jeez. Wow. Well, okay. Well, we have a show to book. Let's go ahead and get to it. Get to the AM or PM screen, and we'll get ready for the last of round one. Kind of upsets me that Lucha Brothers put on a worse main event for us than Chikara did, but maybe that's just my bad booking. We have a Backroom Incident. Let's go ahead and see what happened. Connor, what did you do? Oh, it was a fine form for the show. Keep everyone in great mood with hilarious road stories. Awesome. All right. We got to change our place. Just I think I still did not set it right. Not a big deal. We're still going to do it in Southeast. Get our Atlanta studio going. And try to get another medal. I don't think we need I really don't think we need a like an airing of grievances. I think we're pretty much okay there. Let's get Ricky Ruffin and like somebody. That sounds good. Relax and quiet. Does anyone have a... Nobody's got anything that would look like a tutor. Like maybe professional. Driven Miro. I think Driven does much for it. We'll try. Yeah, it doesn't. I think Driven basically is like, I'm very focused on me. And I'm gonna do the best I can, but don't get in my way, kind of thing. Which means it's not a great for a mentor or protege relationship. I forget which one is. I have to take a look at that at some point. Because if we can get someone on a protege, that's always good, especially if someone's older and experienced. Kind of get a nice boost from that. All right, we got to book the show. 3 more, or last 3 of round 1 have to be booked in a show. So again, it's going to be a little hard to move forward on the other storylines. We're going to try to do a little bit here and there, but we will see what we can get done. For the most part, the Crockett Cup is definitely taking the focus on power, which is fine. I think we only need how many? We only need to advance one storyline per show in order for it to be considered like important on the show by fans. So as long as we advance something, and I thought last time we advanced actually 2 or 3, we should be fine. We actually have several hot segments as well. The 10 pounds of gold with Brodie Lee, Pillman, and now Josephus is actually quite hot. The deconversion of Cabana is actually pretty hot. Billy Corgan versus the board of directors is hot. Von Erich's legacy is hot. So I kind of want to maybe do something for the Alliance title with Eli Drake and maybe try to boost that up. Tessa Blanchard, we're just struggling with. But it seems like our women's division, in terms of ratings, we are struggling with in general. And the Shoney's storyline somehow is not right. Though I don't have the right people in here. I need to add an extra person to be more involved in it, I think, because we removed Matt Cross after his loss. We might have him go for it again, but I don't know. We got to kind of figure that one out. All right, let's book it. All right, guys, this is a lean one. We got 65 minutes in the bag, but not a lot of angles, just enough to get by. Most of this match show is entirely the tournament, so let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, we have our final 3 of round 1. So we have Legion of Rot versus Contra unit. We have the African American Wolves versus Violence is Forever. And we have the Classic Connection versus Warhorse. So let's go ahead and just get into it. Let's take a look. So we start the show off with a women's division match. Actually, this is pretty good. This is better than I thought it was going to be. Madison Eagles versus Ashley Vox. I don't know why I thought it was going to be so bad, but Madison Eagles actually probably is one of our better performers that we're not utilizing that much, and that will be changing soon. It's subpar wrestling technically with a little heat. It's an open to show match. It's just get the show with a strong start. But Madison Eagles ends up defeating Ashley Vox in 5 minutes by pinfall with a Heaven Sent, and we move on to a promo afterwards. So Madison grabs the microphone after her match, and she looks disgusted. And she says, "I'm so sick of this company." And she slightly kicks Ashley Vox while she's still on the ground recovering. "I'm so sick of its workers." While she's still kicking her, she twists her heel and starts to dig her boot into her side, making her cry out in the pain. "But mostly, I'm just sick of its fans." She gives her a hard whack with the tip of her boot. Says, "Y'all wanted a women's revolution. Well, we've been here for years, and you've ignored it. Instead, you followed these talentless bimbos on Instagram and Twitch, while I've worked and struggled to get here. I've had to do everything twice as hard as anybody else. Know that for as long as I'm around, your looks are only going to go so far. That I'm coming for you, and I'm putting the entire locker room on notice. And I'm not stopping until I get to the very top." So, kind of interesting. We got Madison Eagles kind of calling out the environment here, right? So, it's kind of an interesting look at maybe sort of the power dynamics in the women's division starting to shift. Madison probably deserves something to do on the show, and we're kind of giving her the beginnings of something, though unfortunately not a strong start because of that script flub. Very unfortunate. Let's go ahead and move on to the first of our Crockett Cup tournament matches. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so we start to show off with not the show, but the tournament with a wild brawl. We have African American Wolves versus Violence is Forever. We do a quick match, 5 minutes. African American Wolves move on after defeat of Violence is Forever. ACH pins Q with a Dragonfly. AR Fox had a 43. ACH actually the weaker of the wrestlers. The weakest of the wrestlers in this entire match, which is very fascinating. Though it was brawl-based, ACH isn't necessarily a brawler, so that probably hurt us, but we obviously that's something that, we'll have to keep in mind for the next matches, though we knew AR Fox was going to succeed in there, so that's not that surprising. Debuts, in terms of gimmicks, all very good, except for Dominic Garari, who just sort of didn't really work for him. He also seemed off his game, so we kind of maybe lost a little bit there in terms of his performance. The match is kind of underwhelming, but African American Wolves do move on to the quarterfinals. Let's go ahead and check the next match. So before our next matchup, we have Eli Drake cutting a promo at the interview stand, and he says that he's upset that during the Crockett Cup tournament, he feels that the true championship, the Alliance Championship, has taken a back seat. And he believes that it is the ultimate championship, and he's the ultimate champion. And he wants to face Brodie Lee, who's been leisurely sitting on the sidelines for all these weeks, to a challenge, a champion versus champion match. Not for the belts, just to show who the real man is. So he's calling him out for the main event tonight. Eli Drake did great improv work, did 49s, not too shabby, and we have a main event for the evening of Brodie Lee versus Eli Drake, which should be pretty good. And our second of our finals for the first round in the Crockett Cup is Classic Connection versus Warhausen. And in this match, Warhausen did the Classic Connection in 7 minutes. Warhorse pinned Levi Shapiro with a double foot stomp. And it's a pretty good match. They're all about evenly paced in terms of performance, all hanging around the mid-30s. Buddy Royal had a poor gimmick debut. Levi had an adequate, and Warhorse actually had an awful debut for his gimmick. I guess the crowd just didn't get behind the metalhead psychopath gimmick, which is a bummer. Though Danhausen and Warhorse had great chemistry while teaming, and it was a comedy match, so it was about giving them a breather. They probably suffered in their comedy match a little bit, but it did pretty okay. 32 is not too shabby, but Warhausen does move on to the quarterfinals. And finally, the final match of our first rounds of the Crockett Cup, we have the Legion of Rot versus Contra Unit. This match does pretty well. It's a 41. Contra Unit defeat the Legion of Rot in 10 minutes. Jacob Fatu pins Frightened Mirror with the Samoan drop, and Fatu was head and shoulders above everybody else. Did really well, actually. He had a 53. His tag team partner, Joey Machete, only had a 32. Frightmare had a 41, and Hollow Wicked had a 36. Everybody's gimmicks got great or very good, and Joey Machete was off his game a little bit. Again, I think the Dark Horse team here could be Contra Unit doing some good work in this match. See, I didn't just put all over the Chikara guys. You guys thought I would, but now we'll let Contra move on, make it a little bit interesting in the quarters, because they're going to be facing, I think, FTR. Should be an interesting matchup to see, and see what you guys pick on who can move forward. And finally, we have our main event, Brodie Lee versus Eli Drake, champ versus champ, to see what the real belt is. And Brodie Lee does defeat Eli Drake in 15 minutes. Brodie had a 70, Eli had a 48. And we advance both storylines as Eli Drake now gets a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, as he maybe was humbled a little bit by Brodie Lee. Brian Pillman does not say here, but is also ringside at commentary watching the entire matchup. And Eli Drake using subtle mannerisms for a future heel turn, which we might pull off. I'm kind of shocked that he's still not a heel. I thought we had transitioned him already to that, but I guess not. And in our final moment of the show, Brian Pillman gets up from commentary and gets into the ring to stare down Lee, who's now battered and exhausted after his match with Eli Drake, kind of telegraphing into previous match, right, where Pillman should have won the championship against Jericho, but he was battered and bruised, and Lee used that opportunity. And Lee bends down to kind of grab the belt, and before he can even get back up, Pillman attacks and jumps him, and the two of them brawl so ferociously that the entire NWA staff and roster have to basically come in to break them up. Gets a great final segment. We advance our storyline for the 10 pounds of gold, and we further ignite the feud between the two of them as Pillman's starting to become unhinged. And we don't know if that's some influence from the cult or what's going on with that, but he is starting to kind of become more aggressive and start to bring the fight to Lee. We end the show with a 53, which is enough to gain popularity, something we desperately need. Our main event, actually not bad, 61, and our final post-match segment was a 56, which is also pretty good. Very disappointed by that Madison kerfluffle, but I think it was mostly because I just didn't script her, because I think her microphone work is like at a 56, so she should have been around there. Unfortunate, but I do like where that story is going to go, so it should be pretty interesting. And overall, a pretty decent show. Let's go ahead and move back to the home screen. Let's take a look at our mail. Power ratings 0.03, still hanging around there. We're still getting about 28,000 viewers, which is not too shabby for just a dumb little YouTube video. I wish I was getting 27,000 viewers. What are we looking at in terms of finances, though? Oh, wow. We turned a corner, actually, just with that one show. Our sponsorship money kicked in for the month. Looks like it kicked in on the 3rd, so we're still very profitable. Yeah, wow. So much better. We're in a pretty good shape. In fact, we started this entire save back in 2016, I think, with what was it, like $1 million financial loan, basically. We're at 760 now, but we're gonna start gaining that money back. So at a certain point, we're gonna have to look at whether we want to, how we want to use that. Whether we want to try to just accrue a lot of money, or whether we want to try to use it to increase our roster and get a big name, like a big name that we can get financially, because we're running pretty, I don't want to say lean, but if you were to look at our contracts, we were to look at the pricing, most of the people that we actually have, Steiner is actually our most expensive guy, which is kind of shocking in terms of value, and Miro and Brodie Lee behind them, which are, I think, well worth the money spent. And Tessa at 900. I still saw some criticism for Sasha, but the reason why we got rid of Sasha is we were spending like $1,600 a show on her for the same outcome that we got from Tessa, and I just don't think it was worth it right now. And that's why, like, $900 a show is fine. It's within line with other upper mid-carders, but paying Sasha more than everybody else seemed a little crazy, especially when we just didn't really have the talent pool to work with her. But even if Dax and Cash win, who are kind of the favorites to win the tournament right now, they're still not very expensive. So we're not spending a lot on the roster. Like, we could pick somebody up with this money, like a huge hire, if we find the opportunity. I don't know who that would be. Like, well, let's take a look out there and see who's out there that's like a huge. I would like somebody higher than our popularities, like something like a 60 or something. Is there anybody out there that would fit? Well, like Batista, but I don't think he's working anywhere. Yeah, get Stang. Stang's only 700 a show. Can he wrestle still? Huh. Popularity is 72. Guys want to bring Sting into the NWA. Raven. Raven was in our earlier save our road agent for a while. So So even if we wanted to, there's really not that many people that we could really reasonably bring in that would do a lot for us. There's really not that many options out there right now to hire that would actually benefit us that much. Which is kind of shocking that there's not like a big get out there to gobble up that would be a big boost in terms of our popularity. So maybe we just start accruing that money and using it to invest in our back end, our merchandise, our our maybe making a training facility, even trying to boost up some of that end as we develop the NWA and start to build it. So next up, after this airs, you're going to see, I think, a bunch of polls showing up on the Discord. So if you're not part of it, jump into that Discord by clicking the link in the description below. And we'll give it probably like a week. And right before the show, I'll kind of make a last call kind of thing. And whatever polls say, that's what we're doing. So even if the wrestlers hate it, if they are furious and walk off, that's not my problem. It's your turn to book. So I'm very excited to see what happens as you guys try to book the next round of this tournament. Anyways, that is it for me today. I will see you guys next time. Peace.